In 1743, a British officer wrote a manual on how to run an army, and in it he explained how the army filled the deadliest jobs at a siege. A siege was when an army surrounded an enemy town and tried to break through its walls. Some jobs in that fight needed only a handful of men, and those men would probably be killed. So the army did not order anyone into them. It asked who was willing to go, and it offered every man who stepped forward cash. The strange part is the rule that came with it. Every regiment, meaning every unit of soldiers, was only allowed to send its fair share of volunteers and no more. There was a cap on volunteering to die. The man who wrote the manual, an officer named Humphrey Bland, explains why the cap had to exist. Without it, one regiment could lose a huge number of its bravest men because the money tempted them to step forward. Meanwhile, the careful officers in charge of other regiments held their own men back and refused to let them step forward until they were ordered to. Those careful officers were hoping for something specific. Let the money pull someone else's soldiers into the killing, let the dying happen over there, and then take the men who survived from those other regiments to fill your own empty spots. Keep your own men alive. Bland said he could name several real cases where this actually happened. The deadly jobs came with their own names, and the manual lists them like a menu. The sap, which meant digging a trench toward the enemy walls while the enemy shot at you. The Demi-sapp, a smaller version of the same thing, carrying warpacks, which were giant sacks the diggers hid behind to stop enemy bullets. And the half-crown volunteers, men whose price was written right into their name. Half a crown was a coin, and that coin was what one man's life was worth. Every one of these jobs fell under the same cap. There was one exception. Skilled diggers and miners were taken from anywhere they could be found, no limit, because some regiments simply had none, and the money worked. Bland wrote that the hope of a reward is planted so deep in human nature that when the prize is right in front of a man, he stops fearing death itself. The proof, he said, was in the surprising things men had done at the sieges in Flanders, a region in what is now Belgium, and all of it was done by giving out money. Bland saw nothing wrong with any of that. Money, handled properly, helped take enemy towns faster. The wrong, he wrote, was in how the money got abused. Scheming officers would flatter a new officer or tell him that the older regiments always got first pick and trick his regiment into taking more than its fair share of the dying. Bland put all of this in the manual so a new officer would see the trick coming before it caught him. His own word for the money, the way those men used it, was the bait.